All right. So here we are at the top of our mats. Hips are down, feet are flat to the floor, hands are on your shins. Inhale, lengthen up. Send the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, and on your exhale, start to drop your chin down towards your chest. Roll your torso towards your thighs. And you're a little bit rounded through your back. Send a nice deep breath into your rib cage. On your exhale, purse your lips. Pull the belly button in up. Inhale, expansive breath to the back body. Exhale, nice active exhale through the lips. One more, just like that. And exhale will roll you up. Inhale, prepare. Lengthen up. Sits bones down, crown of the head up. Exhale, drop the chin, roll yourself forward. Inhale, breathe into the back. Exhale through pursed lips like you're blowing through a straw. Two more, just the same. On your own rhythm. Your next exhale will bring you up to rise, nice and tall. And then from here, we're gonna crisscross applesauce our legs. Pick a leg to be in front and have your hands land back behind you and use that connection to the floor to open up your chest. So chest pressing forward, collarbones spreading, and then you're going to hinge at the hips. So kind of walk your fingertips closer to your hips, root down through the sits bones, and have your chest move forward, keeping length through your spine. And you go as far as you can, keeping the sits bones rooted. Maybe feeling a stretch in the front of the body, and in the back of the hips, I should say. And if you can maintain this position of your shoulders and your back, then you might start to walk your fingertips forward and walk yourself forward a little bit more, but only if it feels beneficial and you can still breathe. And then from here, walk yourself back. You're still in crisscross, applesauce, hands on your shins or your knees, and just start to move through a little seated cat and cow. So dropping the ribs towards the hips, rounding through the upper back and shoulders. Inhale, chest forward, find that cow pose, using the connection of your hands on your shins to pull the heart forward. Exhale, round the upper back and shoulders. Inhale, chest forward. And now from here, switch the cross of your legs. So whichever cross probably feels a little bit more awkward, that's where you're gonna go. And then you settle into that for a second, maybe wiggle side to side before your fingertips land back behind you. We're just doing the same exact little sequence with your other leg in front. So start to shift your chest forward. Keep length through your spine. Notice if you're gripping through the hips or anywhere else really, and start to exhale all of that tension as you shift your weight forward. If things are going well, you can walk your fingertips a little further forward. Then notice if that, as you do that, if the back starts to round, and if that's the case, then you back off a little bit. Beautiful, walking yourself back. Just a couple of cat and cows, let's say 2 in each direction. Round the upper back and shoulders, belly button towards the spine. Inhale, chest forward, hands on your shins, pull the heart forward. One more in each direction. We're easing our way into movement today. I thought about starting in the standing sequence, but that felt mean at 7:30, so that's why we're seated. Good, good. Once you come back to neutral, take your right hand back behind you. Take your left hand onto your thigh or your knee. Inhaling for height, exhaling for rotation. You're using this connection to get a little bit of leverage to rotate around. Have your chin stay in line with your chest. You'll notice the chin typically wants to lead the charge, but we have a good amount of rotation in the neck, so now we want to try to find that same rotation, which we won't, but we'll find part of it in the upper back and shoulders. When you're ready, unravel, switching sides, right hand to left knee, left fingertips to the floor. We inhale for height. We exhale to rotate. Might be helpful to pull the belly button in and up and to focus on the upper back and the chest, keeping the chin again in line with your sternum. And then when you're ready, you'll come back through to center. We're gonna find our way into all fours, so whether you just kind of flip yourself over onto all fours or you turn around, any way that is good for you to be able to see me is perfect. Hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. We're gonna focus on the tailbone first, the pelvis. So you're gonna drop your tailbone down, pull the belly button in and up. Inhale, lift the tailbone, belly button droops towards the floor. The shoulders are staying as is. Just focusing on that bottom half first. Noticing that range of motion, and maybe you start to draw some little circles like you're scooping ice cream out of a bowl. Your hips are that bowl. Your pelvis is that bowl. Good, good. And eventually you'll come back to neutral. So a little drop of the tailbone to pull the belly button in and up, but not exaggerated. And then start to drop your chest down towards the floor. The shoulder blades will glide on the back. And then push the floor away. Shoulder blades will glide down the back. So you're moving into protraction. Drop the chest down. Shoulder blades pinch together. And then push the floor away, round the upper back and shoulders. Breathe into the space between the shoulder blades. You'll start to move on your own rhythm. Don't worry so much about whether it's inhaling or exhaling, as long as you're doing both. And then maybe you draw some circles. These are scapular push-ups. It's just the scapula that's moving on the back. And if you want to start to create a little bit of a circle, just in case it's hard to feel, your shoulder blades are moving up, down, and around. Nothing else. Eventually, you'll come back to neutral. Your shoulder blades, you might be very aware of them, and that's all good. It's an inhale to send your chest forward, lift the tailbones. You're moving into your cow pose. Exhale, drop the tailbone, look towards your belly button, really let your head drop. Inhale, lift chest to the gateway of the arms. Exhale, drop the tailbone, pushing around, look towards the belly button. If any other movement side to side are calling your name, by all means, you listen. And then staying or coming back to neutral, staying in quadruped. Your knees are still down. You're gonna inhale, send your chest forward. We're gonna bend the elbows. So moving into a tricep push-up. Bend the elbows, move as low as you can, knowing you have to come back up. Exhale, push the floor away. So it's inhale, lengthen. Pull the heart forward, shoulders just past the wrists. Bend the elbows, they tuck in towards the ribs. Exhale, push the floor away. We're gonna do two more just the same. Inhale, shift the shoulders, bend the elbows, push the floor away. One more. Inhale, heart forward. Elbows bend. Try to kiss the ground and come right back up. Beautiful. Then from there, you can start to walk the knees back a little bit. Pull the chest forward a little bit. So now you're in a half plank, tailbone dropping, and then bend the elbows and land all the way to the floor. Once you land, have your hands come down just outside of your shoulders and slightly probably off of the mat. Elbows are below the shoulders. Your nose is hovering over the mat. Tops of the feet are down. Take an inhale to roll the shoulders down and back. Drop the tailbone. It's an exhale to softly push the floor away and lift the collarbones, finding extension through the back. Belly is braced. Exhale to lower down. Inhale, roll the shoulders. Drop the tailbone. Exhale, push the floor away. Softly, you don't want to rely on the forearms. You want to rely on your torso and your upper back. Lower down. Two more just the same. Nose hovers Roll the shoulders, push away. Lift and hold. Exhale, lower. You have one more. Roll the shoulders. Softly push the floor away, gazing just to the top of your mat. You want to keep length in the back of your neck. And exhale, lower down. Take your hands back behind you. Same exact thing, but now you don't have the forearms to support. Shoulders will start rounding forward. Then it's an inhale to roll the shoulders back. Reach the fingertips towards your toes. Lift and hover and hold. You might not get as high as you did before. Exhale, lower down. So we're doing a total of 4. We have 3 more. If you end up ahead or behind me, that's totally fine. You're using your breath to move through these. Exhale, lower. Notice if there's any gripping in the low back, and if that's the case, make sure to drop the tailbone before you lift off the floor. It's almost like you're trying to lift the belly button up and off of the floor. One more, if my calculations are correct. Roll the shoulders, reach the fingertips towards the toes, drop the tailbone, lift and hover. Exhale, lower down. Plant your hands underneath your ribs. Push back to our shell stretch, so not quite cat, but a little bit more exaggerated to the drop of the tailbone. Breathing into that low back and into the shoulder blades. And walk your knees towards your hands. The butt's gonna come down. We're gonna roll our way down to the floor and all the way onto your back. So, once you land onto your back, have your heels just in front of your glutes. Find neutral. So let's actually go through neutral and imprint first. Have your heels of your hands on your hips, your fingertips to your pubic bone. Drop your tailbone down on an exhale and flatten out your low back. That is your imprinted spine. Inhale, release into neutral hip bones and pubic bone parallel to the ceiling. Exhale, drop the low back. Tailbone towards the heels. Inhale, release. So here we're using that pursed lift breath. Like you're blowing through a straw. Or blowing a little pinwheel. So not super aggressive, just enough breath to make that pinwheel spin. Let's do one more into imprint. And then release into neutral. Have your hands by your side. Lengthen the back of your neck, chin towards chest, and look towards the tops of your knees. Reach your fingertips forward. Hold for inhale. Exhale, lower down. Lengthen the back of the neck. Reach towards the toes. Look towards the tops of your knees. Stay for an inhale. Exhale, lower down. 2 more. Just the same, warming up the abdominals this morning. Exhale, lower. Lengthen the back of the neck. Reach towards the toes. Hover and hold. And then lower down. From here, drop down into your imprint. Reach the knees right up and over your hips. And so here you are at 90 degrees. You're maintaining this imprinted spine. Hands are down by your side. Reach your fingertips forward. We're going to move into our 100s. We're going to start here. So it's inhale for 5. It's an exhale for 5. If you'd like to reach your legs on your inhale, you could. And then exhale, come back. Inhale. And exhale. Arms pump for 5. And you use that breath to maintain the imprinted spine. You're halfway. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. We have one more. And then you get the choice to stay here for a 5 count or lengthen the legs for a 5 count. The lower you go, the more challenging it is. We'll go for 3 because I already made you hold for longer. For 2, for 1, Lower down, pull the knees into your chest. Rocking side to side. And then it might feel nice to take your hands onto your knees and circle the knees around your hips. One way and the other. When you're ready, you'll take your heels back down to the floor, lengthen out both legs, and this can change, so I'll coach you through it. We want to have neutral spine. So for me, if my legs are long, that brings me into really big overarch. So if that's the case for you, then bend your knees as much as you need to find that neutral spine, hip bones and pubic bone parallel to the ceiling. And then you're going to lift your right leg. So same thing with the right leg. You could straighten it all the way up to the ceiling, but if that starts to flatten out your low back, then you've gone too far. So only go as far as you can with a neutral spine. Keep your hands on your hips to keep you honest. It's an inhale to circle to shift the weight over to the left and then circle around to the right. So it's inhale across the midline, exhale, circle around the hip. And here you're trying to keep your hips parallel to the ceiling and totally stable. Notice if there's any extra gripping that you don't need in the hips. So you almost let your leg be quite heavy in the socket here. Give me one more in this direction. And then open up on an inhale to the right. Exhale across the midline. Inhale, open. Exhale, circle. Inhale, open. Exhale, circle. Beautiful. Let's do one more just the same. And then come back down, check in, maintain that neutral. If you have to adjust, you adjust. It's the left leg that comes up this time. Same thing, if you need to keep that knee bent, you keep it slightly bent. Then from here, it's an inhale across the midline. It's an exhale, circle around. Trying not to grip in the hip, keeping that leg quite heavy in the hip socket. Inhale, cross. Exhale, circle. Do one more, and then switch the direction. Inhale, open. Exhale, circle. Inhale, open. Exhale, circle. You have two more just the same. We haven't done this one in a while, but I actually love this one. When you're done, bring the heels back down to the floor and just in front of your glutes, drop your tailbone down into imprint to lift the hips up and off the floor, shoulder blades press. Stay for an inhale, rib tip connection, tailbone dropping, and then on your exhale, start to melt your spine down. We're gonna do two more just like that. Rolling through imprint, lifting the hips, chest forward. And exhale, start to melt down. One more. And roll it down. And from here, grab onto your knees or the backs of your thighs and rock yourself up to seated. You're gonna have your legs nice and long and probably a slight V position. If you're here and your back starts to round this way, I would say grab something to place underneath your hips so you can find length through your spine. Because if you're here, you're already compressing your spine. It's not gonna feel great. So once you've found that position, maybe you propped up the hips, maybe you bent the knees slightly to make that happen, then you're gonna bring your arms out wide and so you can see them in your peripherals. On an inhale, we lengthen. We're gonna do 3 exhales to the right, rotating around the midline. So it's exhale, inhale, center. Exhale to the left. Inhale, center. Each exhale, we try to go a little bit further. You'll feel your obliques start to fire up. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Exhale, left. Let's do one more in each direction. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Beautiful. Hands can come down. Your legs can stay out in front of you. You're going to have your arms out in front of your chest. If you need to slight bend the knees, again, to find that length in the spine, you can. But it doesn't really matter because we're going to be moving into a rounded spine. So really reaching your fingertips forward, breathing into that back body. And on your exhale, you're going to start to roll through your low back. So moving into imprint, we're not going to come all the way down, not yet. We're doing our half roll back. So you roll, roll, roll. And then there's going to be a point where if you went any further, you wouldn't be able to come back up. So that's when you roll back up and reach the fingertips forward, round through your spine. Roll yourself back. It's your hips that roll back away from your thigh bones. And reach. So it's rounding here. You're thinking about leading with that low back down towards the floor. Stay round in the back, chest stays forward. And then reach the fingertips forward. Roll it back. And so now we're pretty warmed up. You might feel like you're ready for the full roll up. So if you'd like to join me, or you can stay with what we've just been doing. If you want to go for the full shebang, you're going to roll the low back down. You roll through imprint. Once you land, you kind of unravel, reach your arms overhead, maintaining rib-tip connection. And then it's an exhale, reach your fingertips forward, chin towards chest, look towards your toes, round through the back. So you're moving again through your imprint and reaching all the way forward. We're gonna do, let's call it 5 of those, so just 4 more. Round, round, round. Reach and roll. Find length, fingertips forward, chin towards chest, look towards your toes and roll up. And so it's your own count, honor system. I'll never know if you've done them all, but you will. Beautiful. Rolling through the spine. It's your pelvis that's rolling back to start the movement. Kind of leads the charge. And I think I have one more. I think it's my last one. You might be with me. You might be a little bit ahead or behind, but take your time. There's no rush. And then once you are done, you can rise up. Take your feet closer to your butt, but you're not trying to crunch yourself up. You want to be able to maintain length in your spine. Let's take a moment just to inhale, lengthen, just like we started class. And exhale, drop your chin towards your chest, roll forward. And then take a couple of breaths here, not worrying about the pursed lips or anything else. Just coming back to a nice smooth rhythm of breath. And then we'll lengthen back up. Take your legs up to our Navasana. We're going to be rolling like a ball. Your hands will land onto your calves. You're going to roll through the back a little bit. You're going to roll back with control. We're going to maintain the same position. You're going to tap your shoulder blades and come right back up. We're going to do 5 rolls. So drop your chin, round the upper back and shoulders, tap the shoulders, and come back up. Trying not to let your knees bounce towards your chest. We don't want to use momentum here. I mean, we will a little bit. We want to try to control this movement and catch our balance at the top. So 5 of these. Here's 4 for me. And 5. On the last one, we can roll back and stay back. And then drop your shoulders down, pull your knees into your chest for a moment. Single leg reach. Keep your right knee in towards your chest. Lengthen out your left leg. Take your shoulder blades off the floor. Reach your right hand to your ankle. And then exhale, switch. And switch. If you want to be particular about your hands, it's the outside hand that taps the ankle. It's the inside hand that taps the knee. Exhale, switch. And switch. And switch. And switch. One more on each side. We're going to go right into our obliques. Take your hands behind your head, your right knees into your chest. Rotate over to the right. Exhale, switch over to the left. And switch. And switch. And switch. Control, use that breath. Let's do one more on each side. Then you can pull your knees into your chest. Take a little breather. Then we're gonna move into what is called the slow double leg stretch. So you're gonna have your shoulder blades off of the floor. Your knees are gonna turn out a little bit. You're making almost a diamond shape with your knees. Your hands are on your thighs. It's gonna be a reach up and back, legs lengthen, toes flex towards your shins. As you circle your arms down by your side, the toes rotate out and you come back around. Hands to your thighs and roll the head down. It's an exhale to lift up. Knees turn out, you make a diamond shape. Reach the arms up and overhead. Flex your toes towards your shins. As you circle around, the toes circle around with you. So it's a little external rotation. Come back to center and lower down. We're gonna do 2 more. Actually, let's call it 3 more, just like that. Just so you can get a hang of it. Roll the shoulder blades off the floor. Knees turn out. Reach your arms up and overhead. Flex the toes. Circle the toes around. Externally rotate. Pull the knees back in, lower back down. Now we'll do 2 more. Roll the shoulders. Knees turn out, hands to your thighs. Reach the arms and legs in opposition. Rotate out towards the sides. Come back to center and lower down. 1 more. This one's a lot of choreography for not much, but it's kind of fun. So legs in a diamond shape. Reach the arms and feet in opposite directions. Circle the toes around, flex the toes towards the shins, and then come right back in. Knees towards chest. Maybe you rock side to side. Lovely, lovely. Heels come down. Drop your tailbone down, just lift right into your glute bridge. Once you are here, root down to the triceps, keep a lift in your chest. Send the right knee towards your chest, lengthen out that right leg. Flex the toes towards the shins and lower the leg in line with the knee that's on the floor. Point and lift, flex and lower. Point and lift, flex and lower, point and lift. Bend the knee, drop the foot, lift the other leg, knee up, and then lengthen out your leg towards the ceiling. Flex and lower, point and lift. Notice if that right glute is getting lazy and keep it nice and active by pressing down to that right heel. Flex and lower. Point and lift. Bend the knee, plant the foot. We're going to do 1 more on each side or 1 more series on each side. Press down to the left heel, lengthen out that right leg. Flex and lower. Point and lift. Flex and lower. Point and lift. 1 more. Bend the knee, plant the foot. Let's switch. Left knee towards your chest. Lengthen out the leg, flex and lower. Point and lift. Flex and lower. Point and lift. 1 more. Bend the knee, plant the foot, lower the hips down. And then maybe you take your right leg up and over the left and push that knee away from you. Just take a moment in a little figure 4. If that feels good and you want to explore it further, maybe you grab onto the back of the left hamstring. I like to add some rocking here. That might feel good. Totally optional, never mandatory. That's the whole class though. And then from here, drop that left foot down, switch sides. Left leg up and over. Maybe you explore it further by grabbing the back of the right leg and rocking side to side if that feels good. Beautiful. And then let's rock and roll enough time so you have enough momentum to roll up and over your feet and we can land into into quadruped. We will make our way to down dog. Take your hands just in front of your shoulders. Tuck your toes, lift the knees just 2 inches off the floor. Feel that kind of activation of the core. And then slowly, gradually lift your knees higher and higher. Push your chest closer and closer to your thighs until you land into your down dog. Pedal your feet, bending one knee then the other, maybe rocking your hips side to side. And then on your inhale, lift your heels, start to drop the tailbone and pull the belly button in and up, rounding through the upper back and shoulders like you're creating kind of this cat-like spine. And then you'll unfurl into your plank. And notice if you need to adjust your hands or feet. Your shoulders should be just forward of your wrists, your tailbone dropping, belly button pulling in. Exhale, hips move up and back to your down dog. So we're going to exaggerate this kind of wave-like quality in our backs as we roll forward and back from plank to down dog. Drop the tailbone, pull the belly button in and up, round to the upper back and shoulders. We find our cat before we unfurl into more of a neutral spine, chest pulling forward. Tailbone dropping, kneecaps lifting, your quads are active. And then exhale, push the floor away. Again, round to the upper back and shoulders, round the low back, and then unravel into your nice long spine. Always feeling free to bend the knees as much as you need to find that length. One more time, just the same. This time we'll pause in our down dog. In our plank. And then drop the knees down, pull the chest forward, bend the elbows lower all the way to the floor with your control. And then once you land, have your hands stay right underneath your elbows. Tops of the feet are down. Again, dropping the tailbone, lifting the chest so you're hovering your chest over the floor. If it helps, you could think about almost driving the heels of your hands back to send your chest forward. Stay for another inhale. And then exhale, push back to your tabletop. Hips move back towards your heels. Walk your hands back behind you. Fingertips turn out and your chest opens up as you push the floor away. Some of you, it might feel nice to lift the hips off of the heels. Always an option. Never mandatory. Hips come down. Fingertips move forward, landing into a child's pose. Pulling yourself forward into quadruped before tucking the toes and lifting the hips up and back to down dog. No rush to get there. Spreading through the fingers, rotating your inner elbows towards the front of the room. Bend the knees as much as you need to find any bit more length in your spine. That's always the goal. And inhale, shift forward to plank. Decide if you want to drop the knees or not. We're lowering all the way to our bellies. Chest, belly, thighs land all at the same time. Elbows right over the wrists. Tops of the feet down. Lift into your low cobra. Shoulder blades almost pressing the chest forward. And if all is going well, just your hands and your feet will stay on the floor into your up dog. Try to pull the ankles in towards the midline. The heels tend to splay out. See if you could pull those heels in towards the midline. Chest reaching forward, and then exhale, hips move up and back. If you're still in low cobra, you move through tabletop and then to down dog. Inhale, lift the right leg up towards the ceiling. Open up that hip. Draw some circles on the right side of your mat. Send the right knee over to the left elbow. Rotate and hold this plank. And then send the right knee over to the right wrist. Drop that right knee behind the right wrist and shift your weight back into a half pigeon. We're not going to stay here too long. I just want to kind of check in with the hips this morning. So maybe you wiggle side to side. Just kind of noticing what sensations come up here. And if it feels interesting, you could bend that back knee and start to send the heel towards the glute. And then once you feel as though you've explored enough, you'll tuck the back toes. You'll shift the shoulders again just past the wrist. Tuck and lift the back knee. Step back to your plank. Hips move up and back to down dog. Evening out the two sides. The left leg comes up. Open up that hip. Draw some circles on the left side of your room. And then eventually an exhale will come around and you'll send the left knee over to your right elbow, hover. You'll send the left knee behind the left wrist and drop it down. Shift the weight back into your pigeon pose on the side. And rock side to side. Again, exploring if it feels good. You could bend the back, or the right leg, I should say, heel towards glute. That's going to create a little bit more space to the right hip flexor. And once you're done, shift the weight just beyond the wrist. Tuck the back toes, step back to a nice strong plank. Hips move up and back to down dog. Tiptoe your way to the top of your mat, landing into a forward fold. Take as many steps as you need to get there. Feet about hip distance apart. Let your head drop down, let your shoulders round, let your knees slightly bend, and just start to sway side to side. Hands to your shins. Inhale, we halfway lift. Exhale, we forward fold. Inhale rolls us all the way up to stand. And once you've found that standing posture, stay for an inhale, just feeling the stack of the joints. And exhale, drop your chin down towards your chest, roll just the way you came up, round through the upper back and shoulders, rolling as slowly forward as you can. Hands land back to the shins. We inhale to halfway lift. You want to find length through your back and your spine. So almost think about lifting the tailbone up a little bit. Take your left outer hand to your right shin and take your right hand to your low back. We inhale again to find a little bit more length. And then we exhale, press the knuckles into that shin to rotate around the midline slightly. Maybe you feel that chest start to open up and you look just beyond the right shoulder blade. Exhale, come back to center. Hands to your shins just to check in that you can find that length. There's no rounding happening. Little lift of the tailbone or like slight bend in the knees will be helpful. Take your right hand over to your the knuckles to your left shin. Left hand on your low back. We pull the heart forward before we rotate around the midline. And exhale, come back to center. We drop hips down, reach the fingertips up. See, we land in Utkatasana, chair pose. Hands come down to heart center. Maybe wiggle the hips side to side to see if you can get a little bit more space for the hips to drop a little bit lower. Check in, the weight is in the heels so much that you could wiggle your toes. Exhale brings you into a forward fold. Inhale into a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Step your right foot back behind you. Knee comes down, just behind the hip is fine. Untuck your toes and lift the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Finding length from hip to fingertips, reaching up towards the sky, chest opens up towards the sky. And on your exhale, your hands come down. Tuck your right toes, keep the right hand glued to the floor. Take your left hand to your left hip and pull that hip back as you rotate around the center and lift the left arm up towards the ceiling. Find a little bit of back bend quality in the upper back. So send the chest forward, shoulder blades, press the chest open. And exhale, hand comes down. Step your right foot to meet your left foot. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach the arms up, drop the butt down, Utkatasana, chair pose. Hands to heart center, maybe wiggle the hips. One side should feel a little bit nicer than the other, but maybe not. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, we halfway lift. Exhale, we forward fold. Plant the left foot back behind. Drop the left knee down. Inhale, reach up, stretch up. Find length from hip to fingertip. It might even feel nice to clasp your hands and press the head into the hands and the hands into the head. Your elbows stay in your peripherals. And eventually an exhale will bring you back, hands to the floor. Tuck your toes, lift the back knee. Take the right hand to your right hip to pull that hip and pin it in towards the midline. Rotate around the spine. Gaze up to your right hand. Lift that back kneecap, really strengthen and lift that, or activate that left leg. Eventually you'll close off, plant the right hand down, step back to your plank. Hips move up and back to down dog. And then tiptoe your way back to the top of your mat. From here, heel toe out wide enough so that your toes are turning out, your heels are pressing down, and we're going to drop down into Malasana Yogi Squat. You want to be as wide as you need to be, then maintain your heels on the floor. Chest pulling forward. Notice if you're sinking here into your mobility and start to lift up a little bit into your strength. Stay for an inhale. And then exhale, you can droop into the mobility here. Butt comes down, legs move forward. Good, good, good. So we're going to stay here for an inhale. On an exhale, you're going to roll through the low back again so that your shoulder blades will eventually land onto the floor. Your knees are going to stay at 90 degrees. And then you're going to reach your fingertips towards your ankles. You won't make contact, but that's okay. Shoulder blades stay off the floor. Reach your right hand and your left hand over to the right side. Shoulder blades stay off the floor. Inhale, move back to center, and then exhale, reach both hands over to the left side. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, fingertips to the right. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Inhale, center. Exhale, over to left. One more in each direction just because it's so fun. Reach, reach, reach. And lower. And switch. Moving back to center. Take your hands onto your legs some way, somehow. And just start to either rock or circle or maybe move into a happy baby. Anything that feels good right now is what you should do. And then from there, let's take the soles of the feet together. Bring the pinky toe side of the foot down to the floor. Shoulder blades spread nice and wide. You can take your hands to your inner thighs just to assist this opening a little bit. Or you actually might take your hands to the outside to almost lift up a little bit if this feels a little bit too much and you don't have any blocks to support your thighs. That could feel nice. And then from here, pull the knees back together. Take the right knee into your chest. Actually, let's lift both hips up and drop the hips over to the right so the knees can go over to the left. Just to switch up our twist today. Arms nice and wide, palms face up, gaze over that right hand. Letting the effects of your practice start to settle. Creating a little bit more space and time between the top of your inhale and the bottom of your exhale. When you're ready, move back to center. Hips lift up. Drop over to the left. Knees move over to the right. Gaze over that left shoulder. When you're ready, move back to center. Start to set yourself up for your final rest, whether it's knees knocked in with your feet as wide as the mat, or traditional Shavasana with your legs long, taking up as much space on your mat as you can, toes just naturally turn out. wherever you do land, let your eyes close. Let your jaw soften. Take a nice big inhale in through the nose. Fill up all the way. Slowly release that breath out through the nose. And rest. Shavasana. I encourage you to stay here as long as your body will allow. It is exactly 8:16, so I went over a little bit, but I hope you have a great rest of your day and a happy 4th, and I will see you all soon.